Kia ora friends, welcome back to my studio. I'm Gina, and in today's video we're going to be redressing these two dolls, and one is an artist and one is a gardener, or the other way around. I haven't quite decided yet, but they are to finish off a couple of projects. One is the lantern up the top here, which is the garden scene, and I just need to put a figurine in there and that will be finished for that. And then also the artist studio, so again I just want to put in artist into the artist studio. These are to go into the show that I've got coming up in August, so I've got about 10 weeks left to go, which will come around really quick. So I thought I'd make a start on these two figures today, and one being an artist and one being a gardener. So let's get started. So these are the two dolls that we're going to be working with, and I actually got these from AliExpress, I think. So I'm not too worried about keeping the clothing. Obviously I want to make them a little bit more modern than what they're dressed in at the moment. But one of them, once I took the hat off, had a big hole in its head, which I was kind of expecting anyway. Well, I was expecting it not to have too much hair, but maybe not quite the big hole in its head. But I do have a wig that I took off another doll that I did, and so I'm just going to put that onto this doll, which actually works really well, and I'm just going to put that on with a bit of tacky glue. And then I'm going to move on to creating the overalls for the gardener. Once I'd kind of removed the clothes off each one of them, I kind of got a feel for what their body shape was underneath. And so I've decided to use the one with the reddish hair as the gardener, and then the one that I've just replaced the wig with, the blonde hair, is the artist. So I'm just going to work my way and create these pants. I'm just using a mixture of needlework and sewing, where I want to get a nice visible sewn seam, as well as glue and iron, my clover iron. So I'm just going to use a mixture of both of those to get the look that I'm after. So this is just a bit of tacky glue, and then I just fold that over and then just give it a quick iron, which helps set it almost immediately. So once I've got the overalls basically put together and on the doll, one thing I wanted to do was add a couple of pockets. So I'm just going to add some side pockets, and that's basically what these two shapes are, as well as a front pocket on the bib of the dungarees or overalls. And that just kind of helps add a little bit more detail. So I was originally going to replace the shirt, but as I sort of got further through putting the clothes together, I realised that I could modify the shirt just slightly, and so I could still be able to use it. So I've just taken the buttons off, and which are just little beads, and I'm actually repurposing those into the fasteners for the straps for the overalls. And now I'm just going to create a bit of a headscarf with some different coloured fabric. Maybe kind of blends in with her hair a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. But I did want to just cover up the hair style a little bit. So that's the reason why I've got a headscarf, and it just makes sense being in the garden as well. And this is just another piece of fabric of the same pattern as the headscarf that I'm just using as a bit of a rag that's sort of attached to a belt. Moving on to the artist, I'm just going to create a little apron for her, and I've got some really quite thin fabric. So again, this one here, I'm just going to glue all the edges and just fold them in, and there's a little pocket on it as well. So this is one that is sort of one piece and then just sort of crosses over on the back. So again, just using a mix of glue and the iron just to fold in all of the edges just so that they don't fray. Then once I've done that, I'll just put a little bit of glue on the end and bring that around on the opposite side of the bib, and then I can do the same for the other one, and then basically this is the apron all finished. So it is just one that just crosses over at the back and is just basically all one piece. So nice and easy. Okay, so moving on to the doll, I've got these pants or trousers or jeans actually, that are from another doll that I've actually redressed. Actually, I think it might be from the same doll from the wig comes from. But for this shirt, what I'm just going to do is sort of patch it together, because I know that most of it's going to be covered by the apron. So I'm not too worried about it being perfectly sewn or anything like that. So I'm just going to work my way around, create a couple of sleeves. They are going to be a little bit short, and I did that on purpose. And then I'm just going to create sort of a piece of fabric that I can kind of cut the neck out and a little bit of the side panels, and then I'm just going to basically wrap it and glue it into place. And that's basically the shirt. And then once the shirt is all done, then all I need to do is put the apron on, and she is basically almost done, but at least dressed. Okay, so we've got this far. I've let these dry overnight, and so both of all the glue on the fabric and everything like that is really lovely and dry. So now I just need to move on to the finishing touches, which is really going to bring these two figures together. That's really going to bring these two to life. For the gardener, what I did was I actually printed off these really cute little gumboots last night, and so they are super cute, but they don't fit on the legs that she's got at the moment. So I'm not too sure how I'm going to do that. I probably should have thought about this before I dressed her. So I'm not going to, I mean, I could cut the legs off and use the legs for something else, but I'm honestly not going to use them for anything else. So I'm going to see if I can try and cut or break off her feet. I know that sounds awful, but and then that way I can just put the boots on and potentially scrunch up the bottom of the leg. So it's going to add a little bit more character to this little figure, and then I'm going to rub some dirt and stuff like that over it as if she's been in the garden. And then for this one, I am going to maybe put on a headscarf. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like it needs something. I'm just not too sure what. I'm okay with the shoes. I might put a bit of paint or something on the shoes, but definitely paint on the apron. So I'm going to splash some paint all over this one, and then hopefully that will finish this one off as well. So yeah, let's get into it today. So the first thing I'm going to do is just give the gumboots a prime. Now this does two things. One, it actually primes the plastic, so in order that I can have another paint over the top. I'm actually painting it black, but this is a matte black because the resin tends to be quite shiny. And the other thing that the primer does is just fills in some of the print lines, so it helps smooth out the surface a little bit. So for the legs, I've decided to give this a go. And use some pliers, which the first one worked really well, and then the second one it broke apart. But all I'm going to do is just super glue it back together, and most of this will be hidden inside the gumboot, so I wasn't really too worried about it at all. So for the dirt, what I'm going to do is mix up a tea bag with tea leaves with some glue and a little bit of paint as well. And then I'm just going to do that and then smear it all over her overalls, a little bit on her shirt, and then also on her gumboots, just to give her a look like she's been in the garden and has got really messy just with general gardening stuff. For the boots, all I'm going to do is use a bit of hot glue, and I'm just going to hot glue those on. One of the reasons for that is that one leg was slightly shorter than the other, which I was kind of expecting, and it was anyway, but this just allows me to give with a little bit more leeway on the boots, and so that I can get her standing upright. Moving back to our artist, all I'm going to do here is basically just dirty up her apron as if she's been painting her life away. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel, and while you're there, consider subscribing. So that's it for this video. Everyone have a fabulous week, and I will see you next week.